Hello friends, welcome back. In this tutorial, we will study about CPU scheduling algorithm SJF. SJF means shortest job first. So we will study about shortest job first scheduling algorithm. In this algorithm, what happens? A process which has shortest or smallest next CPU burst. That process will be allocated CPU first, right? So what happens in this case? Suppose there are several processes in the ready queue and CPU is free, then what happen? CPU scheduler will select that process from the ready queue whose next CPU burst is smallest, right? And CPU is allocated to that process. Suppose these are four processes: P1, P2, P3 and P4, right? And this is their next CPU burst time. For process P1, right, its next CPU burst time is 6 millisecond, right? And for process P2, its next CPU burst time is 8 millisecond, and for process P3, its next CPU burst time is 7 millisecond, and for process P4, its next CPU burst time is 3 milliseconds, right? Suppose these are the four processes in ready queue, right? And the CPU is free. So what happened? First, that process will be selected whose next CPU burst time is smallest. So here you can see the next CPU burst time of process P4 is smallest. It is 3. So CPU will be allocated to process P4, right? So at time 0, CPU is allocated to process P4, right? And at time 3, process P4 will release the CPU, right? Now these three processes are in ready queue, right? Now we will see that process P1 among these three processes is having smallest next CPU burst time. So then CPU will be allocated to process P1, right? And process P1 will keep it for next 6 milliseconds. So at time 9, process P1 will leave the CPU. Now these two processes are left, and P2 and P3 are left, and in these two processes, process P3 is having smallest next CPU burst time, right? So process P3 will be allocated CPU and it will keep the CPU for next 7 milliseconds, right? So it will keep it up to time 9 plus 7, 16, right? And after that, only one process is left, that is process P2, right? So it will keep the CPU for next 8 milliseconds, right? So at time 24, process P2 will release the CPU, right? Now let us see the average waiting time. See, the waiting time, right, of a process P1 is 3 and process P2 is 16, right? Waiting time of process P2 is 16, right? Waiting time of process P3 is 9 and waiting time for process P4 is 0, right? Now here we have assumed that these all processes have arrived at time 0, right? So these are the waiting times of these four processes. Now what is the average waiting time? Average waiting time is 3 plus 16 plus 9 plus 0 by 4, right? And it will be 7 milliseconds, right? So the average waiting time is 7 milliseconds. Now this shortest job first scheduling algorithm. It can be preemptive or it can be non-preemptive.